chance to tune in the theatrical warm-up that we're doing. There is a
Close to the
theatrical
beginning.
warm-up,
It's in this one.
We're going to reshoot.
yeah. Like
So it's a theatrical reshoot. Oh, great. All right.
Yes,
It says as lively as crazy, but I keep thinking it says as lively as crazy.
yeah.
What? Sound right.
Is that going to wait?
I'm like, honestly, I'm totally fine.
Yeah.
I can't speak for later.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, me neither.
Good. Hello, everyone. Please give it for Miranda, Hayato, Will, Martin. Yay! Thank you very much, everyone, for coming today. This is 4 p.m. My name is Dean Stevenson, and today is auspicious for those who have come, particularly those who have just happened along, because there's a crowd. Hello and welcome. I will now tell you what today is about and how everything is flipped, but you wouldn't know that, but I'll tell you anyway. What normally happens at 4 p.m. is that each day we play an old favourite as the curtain goes up, and then, which is about now, we start to rehearse the piece that I wrote today, and it's a new piece every day. But today we flipped it because there's a lot to get through, so we just played the piece I wrote today as the curtain went up, marking 340 days of blank pages in the museum. And you said it wouldn't last 50. And there he is, 340 days later. So, there's so much to say. What I will say first is that, hello, Mona actually closes at 5, however, special. This part of the museum, this particular room right now will stay open till about 6. So that everything will close and you can stay here. The bar will stay open till up as 5, 6 o'clock. So you can stay here and listen and drink. We'll keep doing our thing. Today, for those of you who've come along in the back and don't know why you're here, 4 p.m. is an installation about creativity, and today represents the launch of the 4 p.m. book, 151st draft, also my first book. There you go. So we're about to embark on some readings from this book and some excerpts from this book. And we go for a while now. If by the time we're finished here, I will then stand over there with a table with some books and you can buy a book and I can sign it. I can sign it with the pen that I wrote the book with. Yes, I'm so old, leather-bound school. I wrote it by hand and I will sign it with the same pen. Okay? But if you don't have time and you have a ferry to catch, or you want to go and see some vaginas, so that's fine. You can also buy the book in the shop upstairs if you don't have time to wait for me to get to you. So there's all your options. Toilets around the corner. There's the bar. Get a drink. Everyone okay? Great. Okay, first of all, housekeeping. Thank you, David, Kirsha, all the staff at Mona for helping to make this actually possible. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you, of course, to my mum and dad and my sister who are here, without whom I wouldn't be here at all. Thank you very much. Yay. Sian Scott Clash, who was the editor, who made sense of my words. Thank you very much, Sian. Thank you to Meg Perkins, the designer. When you hold it in your hand, you'll realise what an extraordinary object it is. So thank you, Meg, for this incredible design. Thank you, Miranda. Thank you very much for helping me when I couldn't help myself. Thank you very much. And thank you to all of the musicians. Yes. Without the musicians showing up every day, this would have failed every day. It's all about them doing what they do, and it is extraordinary. So, the book. 340 days. This is based on the first 150. These are my diaries, with some other little excerpts, essays on creativity, some lovely pictures. And on page 3 is a QR code. Scan that code and it takes you to a playlist. So you can listen to you can see there's microphones here, so we record everything. All 150 days are live through this book, over 11 hours of music just through this as well. So read and listen, it's quite a journey. So, let us begin, if I go like a priest. Right. The preface. How willing are you to put your creative process on display, to expose your creative self in its most elemental state, to show the messy beginning, not just the polished result, the rehearsal, not just the show, to gamble, commitment to producing something new. You might find in an odd twist that the exposure is more inward than outward, the irksome display of yourself to yourself. Got the courage? Well, I spent some time looking for mine, and I can't adequately explain the first time it was done, nor the 150th, but this book is my best attempt at it. One part information, one part perspiration, one part legacy, and maybe something enthralling for people who, someone who struggles to swing the first hammer, let alone a blister fear of many. And I must admit here, as a young man, I had no blister fear from my hands. My ears did all the heavy lifting. To do something is incorporating a physical thing beyond a theory or idea. It's to become it to some degree. A theory of how to clean a vacuum cleaner. It evolves when you actually clean the vacuum cleaner, thereby becoming a vacuum cleaner. Let it roll. Okay, that's not the funniest joke in the book. To repeat something many times over embeds a deeper experience, developing new theories that get more difficult to explain unless they're also physically repeated, pushed into sinew and synapse and bone. The cycle grows itself. The cycle also requires downtime for the brain to knit its experiences together. The subconscious files the information in the quiet of night behind the decoy of snores. Creativity wants to be a verb. Creativity wants to be a doing word. If I introduce anxious feelings in the first act, must I have a complete collapse in the third? Well, stand by, it just might happen. Month after month of minding myself in public, confidence, doubt, creativity, love, responsibility, expectations has a weight to it, a gravity, if you will, that gets heavier with each day. Of course, a collapse was going to happen, but the character of the collapse wasn't to be known at the outset. Couldn't have been. Stay tuned. It's only music, right? Never killed anybody. Right? That was the drugs. My pitch. Begin each day at the piano with a blank page on which I must compose. At 4 p.m. each day, a quartet arrives to perform what I've written. No repeats, no covers, no developments. A fresh piece each day for 6 months in public. Turned out to be 10, and then 6, and then 7. What could go wrong? In the weeks leading up to my installation, I set parameters, establishing a mandate, no repeats, no covers, no development of the same work the following day. I made no preparatory sketches, no voice recordings, no notes to help me on the days when no ideas came. I became both excited and obsessed with the inevitability of the spontaneous process to come. I worked hard on the technical and aesthetic aspects of the installation, acquiring a piano, the necessary technology, the lighting, and all the elements not directly involved in the making of music, to be ready for the opening day, July 16, 2021. I made this my focus to avoid not thinking about the music. No cheating. On the eve of the first day in the seat, however, I melted down. Everything was ready except me. I didn't know what ready was supposed to feel like. What was I going to do tomorrow when the lights went on? What would I make by 4 p.m? What was I thinking? What a fuckhead. My confidence was bone deep, but it was based on knowing the words, the chords, the band, the outcome. This project was in the fog of purgatory, and it was in public. Wait. That's right, I keep reading. My feelings of being prepared could not be attached to a chart, a song, an instrument that I played, or a process that I'd even tried. That's right. Up to the eve of 4 p.m, the first day, I had never sat down and written a composition for a quartet in a single day before. I didn't even know if I could do it. I know, right? The key word here is function. Anything I write will, of course, contain elements of me in it, functional elements. However, a piece of music that is uniquely me, a higher function, an authentic expression, that's what I wish to make each day. And to mind that is my daily exercise. But what is my authentic music? And what would the authentic in-breath prior to the commitment of creativity be? I'm haunted by my own autodidactic shadow, my capacity to make something worthy of all of this, as I attempt to clarify, justify, and amplify these ideas, all within myself being, well, before the pen even hits the page. The answers are in me, and they now require words and notes for others to learn too. But how is it that I'm aware of my intentions of musical direction, and yet I'm unable to identify the specific sounds that make that music? I have a feeling about what I want to make, but don't yet know what it will sound like. I feel thoughts rising and falling in me like waves, but they have no sound, and yet they are musical. It's not because I hear music, I hear no sound. It is possible I hear all that is in me or of me that makes the music. I hear myself learning compassion. I hear myself learning empathy. I hear myself learning to love and allowing myself to be loved. I hear myself learning to live without regret. I hear myself in honesty. I hear myself living with humility. These are the things I hear when I imagine I hear music. They are the elements of me that express music, elements that require daily attendance, and if I remain unfamiliar with these elements, I simply cannot expect to recognize what they create. Music, the message, and the messenger. Day 19. Well, a gypsy met a cowboy. And they chased each other about for a bit. Paused to look at each other. Fell briefly in love. Drank wine at sunrise. And then in the light of day, realized they're a better couple in the chase. And so it was. Don't go thirsty, everyone. Day 25. Think of Dad. Sit at the piano. The panic. He's in hospital. Another stroke. It's okay, he's here, he pulled through. The ambulance ride over familiar roads. The bumps and corners unfamiliar now as he feels them through his back, not his feet as he drives. Today's piece, a triptych. I'm sad. I'm alone, I'm not the strong one I was. David loved today. He asked because he said that the context, is this the first one you put yourself in? He asked this detecting vulnerability. He was right about that. The muse does not always come. There's not enough walking in the rain, fasting or boozing that can summon it. Some days the recalcitrant muse is just busy with someone else. Today was a functional 50 bars, written in the absence of inspiration. While the muse was busy up the road, I laboured over the shortest piece so far. It's a nice, slightly dark garden party piece that demands gin and cucumber sandwiches for the listening. It ends way too soon. I could have repeated and developed it a lot more. Perhaps in another universe, with more than one day to complete it, and more gin. Starting with pure functional music is always possible, but I won't miss an opportunity here to mine myself, using each day to bring more flesh to the game. How long can I maintain this level of wretched honesty before functional music is required as a coping mechanism? I'm aware of the cabinet filling up with scores that can reveal to the trained eye my ambitions and failures. I betray my pathos and anger at all those I picture would scoff when imagining a score and my face in the same frame. But there are also stories, a publicly enclosed diary, each one a map of adventures. In the cabinet, the scores glow like something dangerous that in the wrong hands could expose my delusions of grandeur. It's hard to say at this early stage which will be liberated, which one's impregnated with more music, fixed music, which ones are deemed suitable for recording, and which ones to bury under the heaviest stone. Each time I open the cabinet, the scores let out their stories like old dust. Stories not about music, but my fragile toil and angst for the triple effort required to make each one adequate. Laughs in the dark while sobbing in the daylight. Start when you have to. Day 68. Cut and paste groove nonsense. A farce. haven't the story today. The energy is in someone else's bones. The piece is crotchets and quavers in high repetition, causing constellations of noise. A good groove can be built if I spend time across the sections managing the staccatos and bowings. Otherwise, it's a plop, an enormous ocean. Kelly Ottaway messaged me after the performance to say today's was the best yet. How could today's piece be the... Shut up. How could today's piece be the pinnacle of anything after a shitty day of dark feelings and an unsatisfactory outcome? To be told by a great composer that it's the best yet is bewildering. What am I missing? What am I missing here? Can you stop now? Can you stop? Can you... You will never hear that again. Yeah. Kelly's writing his own good piece, I suppose. Day 79. People know something is wrong. They say hello and then quickly look away, or to the ground by my feet. Anything to avoid eye contact. No one wants to ask directly, and I don't want to say it directly. David wants me to tell the crowd that I can't play the piano in time. He thinks it'll be empowering for them to know that all this can be made without being able to read music very well. I can see his point. Maybe tomorrow I'll say it. Break myself down even further. Reduce myself for the room's benefit. Music has always lived in my ears, not in my eyes. Day 106. Nothing. Not a sausage. Started something that was so tired and as dull as sliced white bread. Started something else that was worse than elevator music. Thought I'd go for impressionistic clouds. Failed. Nothing. Even clouds of sound need direction. A nonsense piece of forgetfulness. I'll need to put a previous day's work into the program at 4 p.m. to save the show. And I've just learned that we're staying open 5 days a week through February. So the stakes are really up now, and I'm on the home straight. Now I'm beginning to wonder what I'll do when this is over. Two hours later, fuck me, it turned out really good. I must trust my pen. Take cues from the confidence of my feet. They are sure of their direction, regardless of the weather or of the opinion. I'm still baffled at how this arrived today. I heard a short comic piece by Shostakovich the other day, placed in amongst other serious works, the relief was real. As I've written work in a variety of genre before, the lightness and humanity of Fun Groove, it should never be forgotten or pushed into the corner and labelled as silly or lacking depth. It's necessary for both children and adults to know light, fun melodies which can bring ease. The rub comes when light music is all you hear. Imagine being a wiggle. Not all stories start small and then grow. In fact, most stories start in the middle of a war with explosions everywhere. These explosions need intervals, notes that announce their size and importance in the landscape of the story. By comparison, a smaller character with gentle textures, which is sure to grow in some relation to the earlier explosions, needs to find a way to withhold all its melodic and rhythmic potency until much later. The dilemma of which note to employ first is a journey. To avoid being blown up by scale and bombast is a tricky one. Day 120. I'm void today, nothing in the bank. Started 3 things, left them all grossly unfinished and went to lunch. I begrudgingly picked the least shit one when I returned. And now I'm building something from nonsense. The music detaching itself from joy, direction and meaning. I begin to imagine composers standing behind me, breathing through their noses, scowling at my hands, pressing down on inadequate notes. Tisk, tisk. Fact. 1, everything costs something. 2, everything. Heavy, but true. Perhaps as the days pass, I'll begin to think of that statement above as more like surrender than cost. A claim about being on the path and stoically moving myself into the best self, having laid aside the things I no longer need to go, yeah. But of course, the commercial hustler in me feels like I've hit a mark that shows my limit and therefore my capacity to work at all. I branded myself as unreliable, and I'm compounding that impression with this book. But in reality, we all are. Unreliable, that is. That being said, I still struggle with the notion of being rejected from a proposition due to a documented lack of resilience, acumen or stamina. Or perhaps I'm ahead of the curve. The future is my open page to tell history what I managed to gather and throw. Day 136. Duo. Not what I expected, or wanted, or needed. Long lunch. Home for more work on another commission. Exhaustion is crushing. The noise in my shadows is getting longer. The zone. When the gallery disappears, the music begins to move in from my ears. Supersymmetry is mute. Snake has lost its venom and is curled under a log. But then the gallery creeps in, triggered by the proximity alarm of cloaca or a child's flat-foot run across the floorboards of the Nolan. Or an "excuse me" from a thankless interrupter leaning chin forward toward my iPad, asking me, "What software are you using?" There could be no more brutal interruption. Then the gallery roars, knocking, hissing from all corners. My selective hearing only has so much selection. Day 137, March the 6th. I don't recall any melodies or ideas in my head on the way in. The dangerous seat was assumed, that of falling hands on the piano to bring forth key, tempo, colour and style. The first 2 hours produced melodies in obvious harmonies and ordinary figures of function that would not remain in any ear or soothe any agitation. In fact, they might bring about agitation due to the clear lack of purpose and quality. 2 hours writing something no one will ever hear or ever care about ever again. 2 hours practicing something short, unfulfilling and invisible to memory. The music was tired of me. Deflated and hungry, I went for lunch, noting my steps as they too often paused to talk, holding hands with staff and procrastinate, a clear want for distraction, a need to find purpose. I'm trying to assemble a support team at the levee as I feel the floodwaters in me rising. Lunch in the sunny surrounds of the wine bar was pleasant, too nice, out in the sun, with visitors awash with their newness of the first Mona experience. Upon re-entering the museum, I went to the Void Bar for my usual afternoon espresso. Upon meeting Bisho near the bar, she also had me order a neat mezcal to see me through. I must have presented a need for it. She was lovely, with a clear desire to offer comfort, and I cried tears of exhaustion in front of her, shot my coffee and my mezcal, the smoky wash filling my eyes, and headed back upstairs. Upon reaching the Nolan Gallery, my body made an unexpected choice. My walk across the Nolan was building to something. The floodwaters were rising, and my mental levee was unable to hold them any longer. The pressure in my head was becoming sound. I kept walking past the piano. Couldn't even look at it. Unable to identify a place to hide that otherwise required keys, the coordinations of hands, the talking with anyone, I went to the corner nook outside the kitchenette looking over the Void Bar. I thought of going into the cleaner's cupboard, but didn't want to be found by a cleaner on an honest round of the museum, thrust into the turmoil of care. I stood in the corner with my head against the wall and I let go. I was helped from the museum that day. There was no show. I went somewhere for 2 weeks and couldn't come back, and even 2 weeks wasn't quite long enough. During that 2 weeks, I had my 50th birthday, had time with my family, and went to a little haven in the northwest of the state, where I wrote the following. I watch people walking the flat Stanley back beach, where the tide moves in fast. Their silhouettes slow in the distance. Here I have the patience to watch them grow smaller, breathing with them as they walk north. The new tide rushing their feet, headed for the high point, where the water will reach its bargain with gravity and rush past their feet again before having another try. The tide has been working this way since before thought began, and it probably looked much the same then as now. When a history that hulking presses my imagination, I look at the words I'm writing here and marvel at their brevity, so new and yet loaded with what I think I know of what existed before we made words, thinking them the best tools to have a crack at explaining things. At 5 o'clock, I'll present my coat and hat to the wind and head to the pub, where no doubt I'll meet some 5 o'clock regulars for a chat about all we know today, given our brief proximity to that old tide. We'll talk about the best nonsense we can think of, mindful of each other's knowledge of their part in the puzzle others are yet to know. Together, 1 pint at a time, we'll stitch together a collection of plausible truths and meanings that will hold fast enough for us to wobble home with this new and greater understanding of who we are. We are brief, but we are together. In a place like Stanley, with dear friends and delightful acquaintances nearby, I find the ephemeral tolerable, poignant. Here I am in time, not reaching out for it, desperate to be ahead of it, guessing its next move. Day 137, Mark II. I return to the museum in a vertical bolt of high fives, a horizontal hail of hugs. I know of one sure thing today. I will resurrect day 137. If the music remains unfinished, it will push defeat into the dark place where I will forever know of its existence, always seeking that place in every other endeavour of life besides the one where the music actually is, thinking it's an answer. And so I go into the score, looking for evidence, sure that there are boogeymen in every note. Epilogue. The gig is always on. The most common feedback I receive about 4 p.m. is about the somewhat horrific reality of mining oneself so personally and deeply in public. A recognition that the piano at my fingertips is me. The music performed to everyone is me. That's the scary bit. The gasp of unrelenting display. We work so hard to eke out only that which we deem is acceptable and proper, not just any old thing. That can feel irresponsible, reckless, but that's art. You're welcome. Please thank Miranda Carson, Hayato Simpson, Will Newbury, Martin Pennicker. Thank you very much. I'm going to go over there and at the table, and I can sign the book with the pen that I wrote it with, and I'm going to have a drink, and I'll see you over there. Thanks for coming. Questions? Questions? You have a question?
You suggest a blank canvas, a history browser to be set at 9 a.m., 10 a.m.
Yes. Blank canvas, yes.
Do notes intrude for the next day at 2 a.m., at 1 a.m.?
Yes. During the time when I'm here writing each day, most nights I dream I have to finish a piece by the time I wake up. It's terrible. And I wake up and go, oh, I finished. What was it? Oh, it's gone. Oh, fuck. It's gone.
Do you hear the beautiful things and think, I need to write it down and you just don't want to?
Yeah, I want to fix some of these really nice tunes as well, and I go, oh, you know what, I just want to go home, and we'll go to the pub. So it's taxing, but sometimes I do get a melody on the way home, on the way in, and I whistle. I've got some hilarious things in my you know, and I turn it off and go, fuck, that's like a number one, that's awesome. I get here and go, what the fuck was that? No idea. Yes. Question?
Does your relationship with other notes that you compose, the way that you think of them,
my relationship with other notable composers changed? Maybe I get what they're doing more, but until, of course, I don't think they work like this. They probably just go, oh, I've got months to make it right, as opposed to a day. So our working methods are very different, really different. Not to say that we can't cry, I don't know.
I suppose, but are there composers that you love now more than you did before you started?
Yes, I do, and I love more composers now more because I'm on the tools a lot. I understand what they're doing more. I understand their voicings, their phrasing, their journey. I understand their arrangements. I go, oh, I kind of now. Now it was just a mystery before, just a wall of sound, but now I can get in and get a foothold in. I see what you did there. Maybe I'll use that idea tomorrow. Not stealing melodies, but use their idea of how they configure the quartet in certain ways. Yeah. That's right. Max did influence me, yes. Max Richter sat right there for a 4 p.m. We all shit our pants. Oh, yeah. Yeah, great composer, no great handshake. What a shame. What's that? Miranda, where'd they gone? Miranda was here. I don't know who else was here. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Come and ask your questions. You buy a book.
That is the result of